you may not be feeding yourself. You have a physical body which needs food. You're quite aware of this. You get hungry and then you eat. And that solves the problem. In fact, it's not even a problem. It's more so just sanity. It keeps you alive. It keeps you going. But you have more bodies than just your physical body. And one body that you might not be feeding, hello there, that you might not be feeding as much is your energetic body. Or rather, it's not so much the point that you might not be feeding it, you already are, but you might not be aware that you could be feeding it with more nutritious stuff, with more delicious stuff. And you might be experiencing a kind of a hunger because of it, because you're starving your energetic body. So what am I talking about? I am talking about that you might be experiencing periods of restlessness, of feeling empty inside, of feeling unfulfilled, of not knowing what to do or where to go or what life is about. Things that could even go so far as depression. You might have tried a healing approach. You might already be on the healing path. You might have already done a lot of healing, which is great. And you might not be realizing that these sensations that you feel within your energetic body, the sensations I've mentioned, such as restlessness and so on, that they might not be a problem. They might not be something that needs to be healed. So if you're already healing, if you're already doing the work, and yet you still experience these things, there might not be anything wrong with you. It might simply be time to shift out of this problem-based identity, of this identity that needs to be healed and so on and so forth, and shift into feeding yourself properly, feeding your energetic body properly. And I already mentioned that you're already doing this. So what do I mean? Now, let me give you an example of energetic foods that are quite common, that you by growing up in modern culture, that you're acquainted with and you start feeding yourself with. So energetic foods that are provided by modern culture are foods such as television, cigarettes, junk food, arguing, gossiping, social media, scrolling the internet, and so on. I think you get my point. What I wish to stress is that these foods are neither good nor bad, but they come with a certain nutritional value. And it might be time, in order to alleviate this hunger of your energetic body that expresses itself in these sensations that we are quick to call uncomfortable, in the same way that we experience physical hunger as a kind of a discomfort, but again a useful one that drives us forwards to get the food so that we can survive and thrive. And these foods that I've just mentioned, they might not be doing it. They might not be feeding you. So the next more, there's a kind of another category of energetic foods that are also provided by modern culture that are a bit more complex, that are a bit more, that they feed you a bit more. These might be things such as going to festivals, or going to a museum, attending a live theater show, or cooking yourself, like taking the time and preparing yourself a really nice homemade meal, gardening or renovating the house, like making the house look nice, or reading a biography or watching a documentary, things like this. And then there's another step of foods that are just becoming, or that have kind of become available and popular in modern culture. They might not be like all that mainstream, but things like workshops, for example, participating in a workshop about healing or self-development or time management or whatever. I mean, there's a lot. Or attending a talk by a spiritual person or a healer or a teacher. Or singing and dancing and making music, playing an instrument. And then there's foods that are outside of modern culture, that come from other cultures, such as meditation or yoga or tai chi or foreign films, or studying some foreign, some ancient wisdom stream like shamanism or the yogic traditions. watching foreign films or traveling to other cultures. That one fed me for a long time. That was really important for me for a long time. Until also this didn't do it anymore. And now I'm really getting to the juicy category that I think might be relevant for a lot of you watching this video. And it's kind of like the edge. It's kind of the last level where you feed yourself, where you make your own food. So instead of consuming it, instead of kind of going out there and wanting to get something, you really make it yourself. So in a way, you provide food for yourself by feeding others. So you make your own workshop, you make your own training, you hold space for others, you learn how to hold space, and you navigate others in their healing processes. You write your own book, so you publish your own articles, you write your own book, you practice deep listening, you practice vulnerably sharing yourself, relating radically with another person. You redesign your own culture. You ask yourself, well, how do I actually want to interact with another person? What are the constructs? What is the framework that I want to be interacting with another person? And here, there's really no limit, because you're inventing your own foods. It might not exist. It might not exist what you're making. Yes. And I noticed for myself how I've mentioned this example of traveling. How I used to travel to foreign cultures, like on my own with just a backpack and no plan, and it was great. It really fed me until it didn't. But I kept on doing this. I kept on traveling because it worked for me at some point. But it just became this empty thing I did. It just became like a job to take another bus or to hitchhike to another place and to see the place and then to go on. It didn't do it for me anymore, and it was necessary for me to step into the next category. And I noticed the shift when I did that. I noticed the shift when I stopped thinking of this pain as something that needs to be healed, but rather use it to point me in the direction of where to go and what to do, and where I can feed myself, where I will be fulfilled. Yes. So I hope that was clear. I hope that was useful to you. And I wonder, will you share with me where your pain is? What is your energetic body longing to? Where is it drawing you to? Thank you very much.